Tuesday Night Live. Here we are again with the croaky voice. Pardon me. Everyone's along. We've got Macca, Pete, and Donkey. How are you all, gentlemen?
I'm pretty good.
Very good, Fane. Very good. Very much up and about this Tuesday night after another great win on Saturday.
Yeah. Now, Donkey, you're strangely quiet. You got anything going on there? No chips tonight?
No, I am. Last week, obviously sponsored by the Red Rock Deli salted chips, which were a delight for all involved, which was just me. And tonight we're in the Cat Amongst Pigeons Pinot Grigio. So
it didn't sound any better the second time.
Yeah, look, again, I'm from Salisbury North. I don't as far as I'm concerned, wine comes in two flavours. We've got red and white.
That's right.
And two categories.
Oh, so you've got a cabinet Savignon there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, there's a bit of cabinet Savignon and a Suave Blanc.
Oh my God! It's all about the culture here on the CrowCast, and let's hook right into news, shall we?
Well, I reckon the biggest news of the weekend, obviously there was a win, which was great news, but I reckon Eddie's three goals and 2 kids is a stat that you're not going to see very often on a Saturday night, and a pretty good stat. And congratulations, of course, to Eddie Betts. What a magnificent achievement that was, and good on him for actually getting to the game as well. Fantastic stuff. And then right on top of that, we had Rory Sloane. I'm not sure if it was an official announcement, but certainly it was all over social media that his wife Belinda is also pregnant. So something in the water down there at West Lakes.
It's extremely good tactical news by the club to encourage Rory to have a child at this point.
But I'm not sure about that because I was reading on the AFL site that some of the local scribes there are saying that there's a bit of chatter going on that she wants to do a Marty Dangerfield and head on home to mummy.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Well, here we go again, but I don't know why. I don't know why it is, but I just get the feeling that with the Crows crowd that if Rory was to up and leave at the end of this year after 10 years, I just don't get the feeling that it's going to be have all of the angst that the other players have had with it. I think he's given us great service. And I for one, would love to see, if he's going to go, then I would love to see him come out in a couple of weeks' time. I know he won't, but would love to see him come out and say, look, this is what's happening. I'll give it my all for the rest of the year, and we'll send him off. Let's be mature about it.
First of all, I saw the news about the baby, I thought, oh, that's good, settle down, etc., etc. But then when I read the reports from Melbourne, they were seeing that as the reverse side, so it'll play itself out. But I do agree with Pete's comment, though, in the fact there won't be, certainly from not my point of view, and I don't think from the majority of Crow supporters, you won't have the malice towards Rory if he does leave that we did with Dangerfield.
That's very true, I think, Macca, and you can afford to turn yourself up a little bit more there, mate, because we want to hear what you've got to say so that we can bag it.
As normal.
I'm just going to, I think, I'm picking up, I don't know if I'm reading Nikki wrong on the chat, but I think she's sort of a bit cranky that, Anna's not getting the rap for doing all the hard work. I mean, I've had 2 kids and my wife just sort of just laid there all afternoon while I was running around doing all the hard work.
Are you talking about the conception or the birth?
No, I just...
I was certainly very sympathetic at the birth of my children, and at a point where the midwife was asking my wife about epidurals and all the rest of it, I actually turned around and asked for a quickies because I felt a bit. It was just my stomach was just a bit, out of whack, and I didn't get a very good reaction to that. Asking for quickies in the middle of labour, but there should be more care for the husband, I think.
Yeah. I needed a couch and a bit of a lie down. I was taking selfies while she was getting the epidural, so I was in a world of pain afterwards.
Yeah, I'm all for the introduction of bar fridges in maternity wards. I think it's a mass overlooked. I haven't even said that right. A mass overlooked feature in maternity wards.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm not pumping any more out. Not sadly, actually. Right, what else have we got?
Well, there's been a bit happening. Connor McKenzie, of course, obviously a man lead on in, dying on anything, stunk his teeth into Tory Dixon of the Bulldogs. He's got 3 weeks for that. He pleaded guilty.
Bloody Irishman. Fucking hell.
And hasn't it really bitten him on the bum, hey?
No, it was up there.
The tribunal really stunk their teeth in.
How was the photo though? It wasn't like bottom of the pack scrimmage, getting a sneaky kind of a bite in there. He's just got him. He's just laying across him, giving him the big vampire. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Tricky Dicky gets hickey off Connor Mickey.
Well, for we know, he might have got a little bit excited, was giving him a love bite. I don't know. But, anyhow, he's got 3 weeks. Young Liam Ryan is a very exciting young player for West Coast. If you watch the West Coast game, he was an excitement machine, but unfortunately he did break his ankle in the last 9 minutes, and he'll be out for 10 to 12.
It's an absolute tragedy.
Like Simon Moore's comment on the chat, good on you, mate, saying there that he got 3 for biting, but very lucky he didn't do any sandpaper rubbing at all, because, of course, if you'd done that, you would have almost lost your life and had your house burnt down.
Got a life ban.
If you want to bite someone in the neck on a sports field, you go for it.
Yeah. He would have got
but he's
reported.
Irish, so they don't care.
And Gary Ablett, of course, interesting enough, he wouldn't travel for the Gold Coast. He has for Geelong, and in fact, he apparently spent 93% of game time on the ball in the first 3 games, which is ridiculous.
It's an amazing resurgence, isn't it, Macca?
Yeah. Well, and who would have thought a 34-year-old player would end up with a hamstring injury? You just crazy stuff.
Let's not talk about hamstring injuries, Pete.
Fortunately, on the injury front, nothing from the Crows that I have heard about. I think we got through, for the first time in ages, we got through fairly clean, didn't we, on the weekend?
Have to be worried about Sloaney with his foot. He spent a lot of time on the bench in the second half. You wonder whether he's going to be able to come up, or whether the club will want to push him against Collingwood.
Yeah. Or was it that we just started to get a bit of tendency in the third quarter, so we just thought, don't worry about it?
Maybe, but it's a worry that it's still bothering him.
Yeah, hard ground as well. I think that they may well have been taking precautions. So.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a plantar fascia.
No. But on a positive note, the club has got 5 new partners: Statewide Super, McDonald's, Harcourt's, Bridgewater, and Calibre, and which is, I hope, means more money in the coffers for the club. But obviously, we don't get the same publicity because we've got that grip on Sun. What's that bloody show he's on today?
Sun Morning.
Yeah. I mean, somebody puts $5 into the chook raffle, he calls that a major sponsor.
Yeah, they've been copying it on that show lately.
Also, not worrying about not relying on family-shattering pokey money like Port as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you see, they don't take it up front. They've got nice low membership fees, but then they'll go the back door and pull it out through the poker machines. That's how they roll.
Yeah.
Nice analogies there by Fiend, taking it up the front and not taking it up the front, taking it up the rear. I like that in relation to our friendly neighbours down the road. Beautifully done, mate. Beautifully done.
Thank you. I could have slipped a banana in there, but I chose not to.
I could not let it go. Could not let it go.
Yeah, people might have thought we had one of your Sam Blakes or whatever you're drinking up there, Donkey.
Oh, Pinot Grigio. It's Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio. Yeah. Now, are we going to have a quick mention of what happened down the road? Speaking of the front and backs.
Well,
yeah. Look, I'm not sure if everyone else saw this, but it looks like Caro's come out with a report that the alleged incident that allegedly occurred on Saturday night.
Alleged.
With the CC. Yeah, I'm just making sure we don't get sued. That there was no CCTV footage of any of it, and apparently it's all okay, nothing to see here. So I don't know if any of you have ever been to a nightclub. I'm not sure that CCTV footage gets anywhere. Look, and I think this is just I think what we've seen over the last 24 hours is how not to handle an incident from basically everyone involved, from the media to the club to the players. And
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
it's been, Koshy talking about it on breakfast telly this morning, saying, we're not running monks, to people running with the story before it's been investigated. Like, it's just a whole bad thing. And basic gaslighting coming out of the Port Power guys, talking about, maybe it didn't happen and all that sort of stuff. It's just a really yucky area for everyone.
The reality is that unless you are involved in the filming of The Hangover Part 4, there is not going to be pictures and footage of everything that you've done in the evening. It just isn't going to happen.
Well, and not only that, Pete, my own experience and people that I know and general commentary, I reckon it's the first time in the history of hotels in South Australia that CCTV footage was actually available. That's a rarity in a pub in South Australia. Usually it's like, oh, no, it's not working, or we didn't get the angle or whatever. But apparently everyone was wearing GoPros and saw the whole night.
Yeah, amazing. Incredible.
And I'm not sure if anyone saw any of the goal reviews from the weekend. I'm not sure I trust the television angles anymore. So.
Oh, my God. What about the dickhead of the week,
Do you reckon they took the CCTV footage upstairs, donkey? And did a bit of just roll it back, just rock and roll it. Thanks, rock and roll it.
Yeah, they rocked and rolled it. Saw no touch, and it's going on.
Would they have had hotspot? Do you think?
Let me tell you,
I'm just going to shut up now.
I'd been to a wedding on Saturday afternoon. I'd been to a wedding on Saturday afternoon, and I rolled up at the Alma just before the game. I'd had 2,000 beers.
You were poleaxed, we could tell.
Absolutely poleaxed, and even I could see that ridiculous goal review decision in our game. I could see that as clear as a bell. So that it had 2,000 beers.
Yes. Well, yeah.
It's a joke. Absolute joke.
Oh, and what about the bloody... why are they sending it up to the scoreboard, for Christ's sakes? It's not cricket. We haven't got time to waste on this thing. Just bloody tell the umpire what the decision is and let's get on with it, for God's sake.
The only thing I'm thinking with that is that there's... with the pause in play, at least, the scoreboard thing gives it's a bit of a payoff. I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the fact that they're getting the decisions wrong and sending ones up that don't need to go up. They're the ones that you're worried about. When the goal umpire says, no, it wasn't touched, no, it wasn't touched, no, it wasn't touched.
Yeah.
And none of the video overturns that and then it still comes back wrong. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And the classic, of course, was the one in the Hawthorn-Richmond game where it came off Gunson's legs. It was given as a Richmond... and the goal umpire correctly said a point, but the guy upstairs reviewed it and gave it a goal, and then because the field umpire had better sense and that said this smells a bit wrong, he queried it and it quickly got reversed. I mean, the guy's got two buttons. He's got one button says goal, one button says behind, and he got mixed up.
Is this the whole front and back again, or we've moved on?
Here we go.
Christ. You can't have a bloke who can't pick out of two buttons. Christ.
What else you got? Anything else? Any other bloody...
Was there any discussion Sunday about the Sandford game that took place, and we got absolutely... I think we got fairly comfortably done by the Double Blues. The reigning premiers. Have you got your grab there, Fiend, or you not got that one queued up?
No. We're powder dry at the moment. It's early days.
I thought you would have had it queued up.
Early days for a three-peat. Let's not jump the gun.
Understand that Wilson was very, very good for us against his old club and had an excellent game. I think Ben Jarman played pretty well. Gallucci played pretty well. So a couple of reasonable performances in the SNFL. Under difficult conditions, they've still got a lot of top-up kids in there as well.
Well, good to see Gallucci get it a bit. He's been sadly out of touch, so Jordan getting amongst it is a good sign.
Yep. Be good at speaking start.
The Gooch not getting a touch.
Well, we've spoken about the front and the rear, so no need to bring the Gooch into it too much, I suppose.
Well, I know where the Gooch could get a touch if he needs.
Oh, no.
That's about all I got, I think.
Anything else before we move forward?
No, definitely not.
Competitions. Donkey Magoo.
Oh, I'm up. Lead with the tipping. I'm not ready.
You're not ready? Well, I'll go with tipping then. I'll go with... no, we've only done competitions straight after the news for the last fucking 3 weeks, but that's all right.
We did tipping first last time.
Did we? I like to mix it up.
Yeah. It's really hard to be consistent all the time, as the great Dean Jones said.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go now.
Tipping. No, you can wait now. Morley and Dominic got 7 last week.
Jeez,
good on you,
I reckon I got 4 or something.
Take my hat off to him. Yeah.
I got 5, Mr. Couple. What'd you do, Pete? Yeah, you got 4.
4.
Macca, where are you?
I'm not in there, but I got 4.
Yeah, Donkey got 4. It's a pretty piss week sort of around, really. Peter Robert and J-Mac and QS Cellar Dwellers got 6. So the leaders after that round, where are we?
I think the most disappointing result for me on the weekend was Gold Coast going down to Freo. I really gave Gold Coast a big chance to beat Freo on the weekend. I really thought they were bringing something this year, and I think that's a real that would be a real disappointment to have lost to Freo, even though it was in Perth. I think they would have gone over there expecting to win that one.
Yeah, I would have thought so. We've got a new leader. Pete Robert, 19. Dom on 17 with Matt and J-Mac. Donkey's sliding, as we knew he would, down to 16, along with Mike and Ben Short. Where's the rest of us? I'm on Yeah, I know. I'm on 14. Peter J's on 13. Macca, if you were in, you'd probably be on about 10, I'd imagine.
You'd be right about that.
About 10. Now, Donkey, talk to us about Dream Team. I suck at this fucking game. I'll tell you what.
No, you really do.
I do.
I don't want to out it, but I did try and give you some help, but you're too proud.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to be proud. just suck it up, mate. We're all in it together. We're all rowing in the one direction.
I'm not bottom. I'm not bottom.
Well, I'm going to have a little brag. I'm 66th in Australia.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, you're not in Dream Team, Macca.
In Dream Team, I am.
Yeah.
Not in the real
You're
comp.
in fantasy, mate.
Yeah, I'm about AFL fantasy here.
Yeah, we're talking about this is the real Dream Team.
I think your rankings fantasy there, mate. That's what they're trying to tell you.
No, Macca's.
I can prove it.
Yeah, well, give us a screenshot. Give us a screenshot, Macca, or else you just all piss and wind.
All right, you'll get one. I'll post where you want it posted.
It's going to take him about 8 weeks to work out who to do a screenshot.
I know. I thought I'd shut him up for 8 weeks. Anyway,
right.
Come on, Donkey.
Look, as I've said in the chat, and look, if you're listening to this tonight and you're on the Big Footy board and I don't have your team listed in the Sunday Night Roast anywhere or the other thing, can you please just let me know what your team name is so I can roast you? It's a lot more fun if I get to do that. And jump on the chat too, fellas and ladies, if we've got them. Jump on the chat. Let's. I've played a lot of these different competitions, and the banter is what keeps it going throughout the year.
Yeah.
So let's do that. But after giving you all a lecture, let's talk about how good people are and how not so good other people are. So the cream has really risen to the top in the round. Dylan FCC has got to second. Corey Oltz is in third. Peanut or the Winter March is in fourth. So some really big hitters. Top of the pops, obviously, is Donkey's Dreamboats.
Massive percentage too. Massive percentage.
I did, and I haven't teed this up, but I love Shuey, but
he's worse than me.
Shuey's not very good at this. Yeah, Shuey makes you look good, mate.
I know, he's keeping me off the bottom.
I'm not even sure he's picked the full squad. It looked really weird the other day. Like that bloke had more donuts than people leaving Brisbane Airport coming back to Darwin, and on a red eye. That
one didn't work. Keep going.
Oh, you guys don't know what that means. So in Darwin, we don't have Krispy Kreme. So everyone, if you're flying back, everyone loads up on 16 boxes of Krispy Kreme. It's like that's the whole joke about donuts. Okay. Anyway, look, it's good to look at other people's cultures. That's fine. Relax.
Culture?
Look, as it's taken a tumble, he obviously the footy gods have punished him heavily for not having Matt Crouch in the first place.
You did call
and
it.
Not picking with integrity, but as it actually deserves a little bit of a rap. Even though he didn't have the big Matty Crouch, he did have Bryce Gibbs. He's got Rory. He's got Tom Doedee. And there was somebody else that I thought that he had. Anyway, he's got a couple of extra other ones that most of us don't have. So it was probably
Jared Waite. Did you have Jared Waite?
60 points.
Jared Waite's averaging 100 over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
How many did you get last week? 60 odd.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Jared's biggest problem is the North Melbourne midfield. Like, if they're not putting the ball down to him, then there's not much he can do. He was looking pretty massive early on. And then as North Melbourne faded, Jared, as big as his shoulders are, couldn't carry the side over the line with him. So we expect to see some more bigger performances from Jared as that midfield gets better. So get on him. I'm in a bit of trouble because Luke Ryan, I think I just bought him in the week before. So I think I may have just burnt a trade on a rookie that's about to go out to pasture for about 12 weeks, which is not very good. There's some interesting things going on in the Dream Team.
And I would like to make the point, if you just check the CrowCast chat, Phoenix, you'll see the proof of it.
Oh, where? Oh,
Jesus.
Bloody Facebook, for God's sakes.
Far away.
Come on, mate. Hang on.
Oh,
Let's see if we can share this on... We'll share this on Twitter if it's actually true.
It is true.
Yeah, all right. Keep going. What else? Anything?
No,
have we got next week's bloody matchups?
Oh, look, yeah, let's go through next week's matchups. That'll be a bit of fun. I'm just going to have to talk a little bit around in circles and just give it a filler until I work out which button to press.
It's the little menu thing on the side.
Yeah, Thanks,
yeah,
mate.
I'll just help you out.
Says the bloke. Says the bloke on 1600.
No, I know how to use the side. I just don't know how to bloody pick a team.
You'll have to.
Come on,
because I've pressed something else. I pressed the chat bit.
All right. Well,
I'm up against Sanders next week. No, give me 2 seconds. Here we go. Found it.
Oh, you got it?
So, Donkey versus Sanders in the match of the round. Sanders probably a bit unlucky. Got a decent score, but just went down. McPherson of interest versus Shoestar. So he was going to rocket up the charts there, which is Azza. Pete's Pirates, again, not the Pete on the cast because he hasn't joined us this year.
Yeah, he doesn't do it.
It just doesn't do it. Versus ASP Rockcliffe, which I think is newbie Kimber off the top of my head. We've got Skid Kids and Monkey Slappers. I don't know who either of you are in terms of big footy profile, so let me know. Coulda Beans versus DIY Brain Surgery. Bucharos versus One Win Wonders, which is Corey Olts. Big Crows Bangers versus the Winter March. So
mark it down as a win.
Phoenix is going to get smashed.
Mark it down as a win.
Yeah. Well, you were leading up until Sunday the other day.
Yeah, I know.
But he had about
just
10
for the
players
first
to go.
round.
Yeah. Habanero Hot Sauce versus Nick Spuds. And then we've got Wheat, the other Peter team that's also not Peter from tonight, and Dylan FCC. So that is where we've got our matchups this week.
And for those...
I'm expecting Sauce to have a big bounce back. Will be good for me. And young James Sicily is going to come back into a lot of people's sides, which will...
you reckon Sauce is going to bounce back? He's up against a genuine ruckman this week. He couldn't handle a freaking second gamer and a bloody midfielder last week.
Oh, Christ.
We're not going to go on this. Look, mate, your Sauce leaking doesn't actually get backed up by stats. This is just...
it actually does. Scorpus kindly informed us that both the young lad, Rowan Marshall, and Sauce both had 6 effective hitouts for the game.
I saw that little bit of information he passed on. And look, I thought Scorpus was old enough to know there's a whole game that's being played, not just that particular aspect. And if you look at the coaches' votes, one of the coaches gave Sauce the 4th best.
Yeah, it was fucking Matty Clark, probably.
Well, Mackie, what you've got to understand is people like Phoenix and some of the others, they look at one little number here and they run off to it like the god of football. With the god of football, like, this is my one true god. It's the god. We should never wear a sandal again. And it's not like that. It's the tapestry of the game put together.
Hey, Pete, what do you reckon about Sauce?
What about him?
Or do you reckon he's going all right?
I think he's just going.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything special, but he's just a constant in the side, and I mean, there's not anybody breathing down his neck to take his spot.
No, very comfortable.
I think he's just comfortably going along, and I can't remember the last time Sauce missed a game. He's just a sort of a fixture in the side, and I'm not sure. Put it this way, I'm not sure that our side, rises and falls on the back of Sauce. I think he just. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, put him up against a good ruckman this week. I mean, they got Brody Grundy, who can run around a bit. I reckon Sauce is going to be up against it.
Yeah, he'll towel Sauce up, but it won't be the deciding factor of the game, I guess, is what I'm meaning. And similar, if Sauce got 3 votes, it wouldn't be the deciding factor in the game. You know what I'm trying to say? He just goes.
Yeah.
But he's a good contributor to the game.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I don't seem as highly influential, but, he has his role, obviously, and,
He's probably a barometer, Macca.
No,
I wouldn't put him as a barometer. I reckon that's way over.
Move on.
For those on Twitter, I've actually put Macca's proof on Twitter, and that's tremendous, Macca. 66 out of 129,896 after 3 rounds. That's worth a round of applause. And if I could find that special effect, here we go. There you go, Macca. Round of applause. Beautiful. Are we done with competition?
I think so.
Yeah, we're done with.
We can move on.
Yeah, we can move on. Macca's Sweets and Smacks.
Yes, I've got.
Hang on a minute. Grumpy old man.
That's what I am, and I really don't care who knows it.
Off you go.
Well, actually, you're one of the reasons I am a grumpy old man.
I try.
But we've got a few sweets. We'll go through it quickly, but I've got to give a sweet to Fife. I loved watching that guy. You're talking about the Fremantle game and the Gold Coast. He was the reason that Fremantle beat Gold Coast. 37 touches, and this guy is back to his very best, and he's a pleasure to watch. I loved watching his game.
Yeah.
The second one was sweet is for Eddie, and the video in particular of him telling his teammates about the Twins and their reaction. You could just see they love that guy just as much as we love him. And the third factor, which I thought was terrific at the time...
Sorry, Macca, just hang on a second. Donkey, are they nuts? Well, what's
that's not me.
It's not you. Yes, it is.
There's no SPP here. There's no rustling.
All right, sorry, carry on. There's something coming through your mic, Donkey.
Oh, my bad.
There it is.
There is.
It's weird.
No, and I really did give a sweet to Roy for that hug he gave Eddie once he made the announcement.
Yeah.
And from the smack point of view, Tony Jones again. Look, this guy.
You don't like him.
I don't like him. I really don't like him. I mean, there was a conversation that Carlton shouldn't be getting Friday night games. They've got 5 of the bloody things or something for the year.
Oh, they should not at all. It is such a disgrace to the game.
Well, his argument that they should is that there were 50 to 60,000 people there. Let's tell Tony we don't go and watch the bloody people. We watch the bloody football. And we're watching 16 play 17. So we're watching 2 shit teams when we should be watching 2 very good teams. So Tony Jones, a great big whack over the head again. You are a bloody idiot. Now, second whack goes to... Gillan McLaughlin, who is an absolute bloody hypocrite, who they played on 5AA a recording, and it's in his own voice, of him saying 2 years ago that to get on a Friday night big time show, you have to be a performing team. Oh, well, F me. Carlton, Jesus Christ. This shows you are a hypocrite. And Sam Powell-Pepper, well, I was going to give you one, mate, but I'm just holding the fist back because you did nothing.
Because of the lawyers.
Well, no. The way I heard it, I heard that he beat up the Gold Coast. He thought he turned into a fish and he was a groper. And, but,
Oh, come on.
Leave it to me, Macca. Leave it to me.
and
You're going to get sound up for you, mate.
no, in fairness to the guy.
CrowCast brought to you by Slater and Gordon Lawyers.
I've got contacts, it's okay.
No, and the fourth slap goes to Michael Clark for offering to make a comeback to cricket. For God's sake.
On now.
Michael, you were finished 3 years ago, you bloody idiot.
Yeah.
And
Apparently that was blown out of proportion, though.
Well, anyhow, in the last flap, and you'd probably want to deliver it, Phoenix, is to
Sauce Jacobs?
No, to Potash, the beach volleyballer. She was a comment about the West Indian players who had been glistening with sweat and sand diving everywhere. She said they looked like human lamingtons. And the
Human Rights Commission.
No, I'm only quoting. And, of course, that brought some condemnation, and I'm sure you'd like to give her the punishment.
I don't know whether my partner's listening. We'll just move on. Is that it, Maccas?
That'll do for now.
Good on you, mate. Let's head into the round 4 preview versus Collingwood.
What about my segment?
You don't get one.
I want one.
You get the competitions. Don't interrupt my music.
I love that music.
I want a segment.
Friday night against the Friday Night Kings, Collingwood.
I reckon, Fian, you know what? I just want to have a quick chat about just how good Bryce Gibbs has been. And he has been bloody-sational, Bryce Gibbs. He's every bit the professional we thought he would be. I just wanted to throw this out there, not for any particular sort of a lengthy discussion, but is anyone just feeling just a little bit, he would have been good last year.
Oh, don't start with me, Peter.
Maybe those 2 first-rounders would have been worthwhile in the 2017 Grand Final.
Would you not give up the Gooch for him?
What do you think?
Yeah, that's the question. Would you give up the Gooch to have him in a year earlier? And I say, yes,
Are you
having
this conversation with me actually in the room? Like, seriously?
Oh, I know your thoughts.
Who are you?
On it,
okay, who remembers what you think? Tell us.
I know that you were very outspoken.
Everyone on fucking Big Footy. Here we go. I'm just going to take a moment, right? Everyone on fucking Big Footy that can the shit out of me because and this is not a kid show. I said we should have given up 2 for Bryce and blah blah blah, and everyone thought I was an absolute knobhead. You can all get stuffed. The whole 50 of you on Big Footy, you can all get stuffed because I was fucking
50?
right.
Mate, I was
more than
behind
50
you.
people on Big Footy.
I was fucking right.
No, I'm always in your corner. We always should have grabbed Gibbs. Should have always paid the price.
Yeah, he's been. Sorry, just to strike a nerve there, mate. I do agree. And he's really look. The main thing is we've got him now, and he's been absolutely worth it. And by the time Carlton finish this year in the bottom 3, that draft pick we get back will look pretty good. And the whole thing will work out very, very nicely. But, oh, my gee, he's just such a good player, isn't he?
Well, the other thing, too, is...
I just don't know how... Sorry, Don. I'm just
silk.
going to quickly say, I don't know how he has not been All-Australian. And I really don't. He might get it this year.
Look, the other thing I think is there's a lot of people, especially on Big Footy, that really overrate draft picks.
Yep, absolutely,
If you've
Donkey.
got somebody that's ready to go, ready-made, ready to contribute right now, especially when you're in the window like we are, you pay it. You just pay it.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you've only got, carpe diem. You've got to seize the day. You've got to get out there and get it done. And, this always dreaming of this fantasy that we're going to unearth, the next, Dangerfield, McLeod, with every draft pick we do, is a fantasy. But the reason why those guys are special, because it's fucking hard to do what they do. It's really hard. And when you've got a guy that performs year after year after year and probably held back by a club that is so pathetic at developing talent, but he's still very good, you grab it. You grab it and you go, you know what? You are the engine that we need.
Just in response
100%.
to Barty Magic on the chat, talking about his Brownlow history, and I see DSG's given some numbers, which is great. Thank you. It's just quite amazing when you think that he only ever won one best and fairest at Carlton. He's only once got in the All Australian squad. He's never made the final team. I don't know whether it's just the fact that he's been at Carlton or what it's been, but it just seems amazing to me that he has not had more. Is more decorated than what he is.
Remember when
flashy.
he went to?
He's not flashy.
Well, he's not. But remember when he first went to Carlton as number one draft pick, blah blah blah, and he was supposedly the messiah down there, and then they started playing him off halfback, and then they were plugging holes with him, and he never got a run at it, Pete. He never really got
100%.
given ownership.
He started off in the back pocket, back, and the back. Like he was, and he wasn't Murphy in there, and he wasn't Judd. Like he was completely underutilized, undervalued, and we missed out on 10 years of awesomeness because of the AFL. But anyway,
and you could say Huey Greenwood pushed through, got an opportunity as a consequence, etc., etc. But Huey Greenwood played hurt in that grand final. Can you just swap out Hugh's 5 or 6 possessions for 32 or 33 Silky Bryce Gibbs touches in that grand final?
Yeah, and a couple of goals.
Yeah, worth a couple of first round. I would have paid 10 first round picks for a grand final win. Bloody hell!
Yeah.
Maybe we don't see Douglas instead. Maybe Douglas gets pushed out.
I'm glad I brought happiness and joy to PJ Crows tonight.
Yeah, you're an
Sorry,
arsehole,
PJ. I've been an arsehole. I don't reckon there'll be any changes this week. I think Tom Pike said at a presser there's unlikely to be changes. I don't think there's any injuries. I think Sloan will get up. I think they'll go. I don't think there's anyone due back. And I don't think there's anybody from the SNFL they're going to force their way in. So I would be very surprised if it's not an unchanged team this week.
Yeah, you would think so. Sloan is obviously the only doubtful one, and they'll keep their powder dry on that one until the last moment, you'd imagine. But there's no one really pushing it to come in. We've got no one coming back from it. Oh, Hampton did Hampton play last week?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he played pretty well, I think.
Played very well. Yeah.
So he's one that could push.
I don't think he pushes anyone out, though. No one. I don't think any of the people that he would replace play badly. No,
maybe Miller. Miller has spent a bit of time on the bench as well in the third quarter.
Miller is going to explode at some point.
They'll keep playing him. They'll keep playing him.
Yeah, no, I just wonder whether he's sore because, like I said, him and Rory both spent quite a bit of time on the pine. So whether he comes up.
He would certainly be first in the queue if someone doesn't come up, I would suggest.
I don't think he is sore because his best half was his second half.
It seemed to be, didn't it, Macca? And yet he spent a good while, probably about 10 to 15 minutes on the bench in the third quarter.
He did, a long period of time. Yeah. But I reckon his stats were something like 2 or 3 in the first half and about 10 in the second half.
I wonder if it's a bit of a strategy because against Richmond it was a bit of the same thing. Is Miller just becoming a back half specialist?
I'm wondering exactly the same thing, Doc. I wondered whether they were, like he's got that blistering pace and it becomes more exaggerated once the other guys are getting a little bit tired too. So,
Nicky will tell you that he had trained pretty much all pre-season with the defensive group when they went to their groups. Yep. So he trained pretty much with the defensive group all pre-season. So I think you'll find that that's where they've got him earmarked is to take that half-back spot. But bear in mind, he had had interrupted pre-season and he's just getting himself back. And I think he's showing plenty of good signs. So I'm hoping he's not sore.
I agree. I just think, just to sort of go back to what I was saying, he seems, in his first couple of years, he always seemed to spend his biscuits really early on. Like, his first half was really good and then he never saw him for the game. Yeah, it's almost like he's almost like he's inversed where he's going to spend his biscuits and his back halves have been out of control. Like he's just been really sticking it in really hard in the back half.
I think we're going to have to be on our toes. On Friday night, they have played a very good. They played a top 8 brand of football on Friday night, Collingwood.
No, I agree. Come on, Pete.
No, I think. No, I thought they played pretty good footy.
I don't think there'll be a pushover, but I think I would be very surprised if we didn't get home on this one. But I think that they'll push us, Collingwood. I think that they they're a pretty fast running side at the moment. They did play some attractive football, and I know it was against Carlton.
My only fear is that our worst performances for the year generally against lower sides, and then I just hope we don't take it too easy. I don't think we will because it's a Friday night game in the limelight, etc. But look, any team can beat you on a day if you're not 100% at it. And Lee Buckley saved his job about 3 years, hasn't he? Getting a win.
Yeah.
Look, I would be worried about this if we were 3-0 right now and had been playing really good footy. I would actually be worried that we were going to drop this game. But I don't feel like we've been playing our best. We're not 3-0. We played a bit of a dog of a game on last weekend against the Saints, and they were smarting after losing to North Melbourne. And we turned it on for 10 minutes, and we got our lead basically in 10 minutes. I think that Collingwood are probably going to be riding a little bit high. I don't think they have the structures. I don't think they've got the cattle. I think that we're going to blow them out of the water. And also, just like to point out that last week I tipped the 54-point margin. It was only 49, but I think I was probably the closest. So I'm right again this week, and we're going to win by about 60.
Fiend, can I just ask you this question, and I'll put this to you. Are we a little bit, for a team like Collingwood, are we a bit top-heavy at the back? I know that we sometimes talk about the fact that we've got the two big guys down back, but they look to me to be fairly small up forward. There was nobody that stood out to me apart possibly from Reid that was a danger. How do you see the matchups there?
They got the big yank up there as well, Cox. But they do run fairly small, don't they? They've got, Varco and Hoskin Elliott and those blokes up forward. I don't know. I mean, Hardigan can play on smaller blokes, so you'd expect Talia to match up on Reid, I would say. And Talia will probably take the second, and if it's Cox, he'll probably go to Cox. Cox isn't a huge threat.
G-Day to go to Thomas or Kelly?
Probably Thomas, yeah, I'd say.
He kicked 5 on the weekend, and he's one of those sort of middle-sized players.
Yeah,
I think the biggest matchup that's tough for people in the forward line in 2018 seems to be the resting mid up forward.
Like Treloar, for example.
Treloar or Sidebum. Sidebum have got a couple of really nice goals.
Yeah, he's in the scoreboard this year.
Yeah, and and I think it's just been triggered by Dangerfield's game against the Hawks a couple of when he was playing on one foot. The resting quality mid up forward seems to be when they make that the focal point. The defences aren't prepared for how to deal with it, and I think there's been a bit of exploitation of that. So it'd be really interesting how we deal with that.
Still, Sidebottom's another one that...
Yeah, I was going to bring him up.
Really, really good player, and it amazes me that he's never ever even made the All-Australian squad. Never made the 40.
He's started off 2018 really good. He's had career-high numbers. He had career-high...
He's a good player.
Yeah, very good player. He's averaging... 30 touches a game this year. He's hitting the scoreboard. He's 6 clearances a game, 5.7 inside 50s. I mean, they're good numbers, and it makes you wonder whether we might actually sit on him if he starts getting off the chain, because he's been a real driver for them.
Yeah, he certainly has. He was outstanding on Friday night, and as you say, his work up forward is very, very difficult player to match up on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his experiences, I think, has been a real feather in his cap. If you have a look at a couple of other players like Taylor Adams and even probably Treloar, they haven't performed at the level they did the year before. No, Treloar butchered the ball a lot last year, so even though he got a lot of the pill, he butchered a lot. And Taylor Adams even hasn't had it in his hands. Like, it just hasn't got in his hands this year. So those guys are a bit down. Pendlebury's doing what Pendlebury does. Sidebottom's probably being the workhorse. He's the Bryce Gibbs of their side.
He's been the standout.
It's if that gets rolling though, that's a really, really good midfield.
Yeah,
they've
had one of the better.
No one to stop when he gets out play. That's their problem.
That's always been their. Well, that's been their problem for probably Buckley's tenure, I reckon. That they haven't really had a focal point. They had to get rid of Cloak and. They haven't really replaced him. I mean, Ben Reid is a makeshift forward at best. I like him better down back. And you're right, down back, I mean, Crisp and Dunn holding down the key spots and Jeremy Howe taking hangers off half back, and just some workhorses, young Maynard, who I really like, but he's just a Jake Kelly type, really.
They got a player of the future there. He played his first year, young Murray.
Yeah.
He's a real. His pace is absolutely brilliant. But he's only a first year player, and his form will vary from week to week.
Yeah, I mean, they've pinned a lot of hopes on Darcy Moore, and he's not coming up. So I think you're right. I think it'll be a bit of an arm wrestle through the midfield. But we saw last week against St Kilda that we're quite content to sit back and just counterpunch with teams for a while, and we may well see that again against Collingwood this week.
Yeah, unless we can get on top in the midfield. But I think that's probably going to be the hardest part. I think we can beat them in just about every other area of the ground as long as we sort of at least break even in the middle.
Well, and our middle wasn't great.
Our
middle wasn't great last week, let's be honest. In fact, I ran a few numbers earlier on, and we were behind them until probably 10 minutes into the third quarter on disposals. It wasn't until that little burst in the third quarter that we actually started to break even with them on disposals, and that coincided with probably about a 10-minute burst where we started winning stoppage. They didn't win a stoppage basically from the 8-minute mark of the third quarter all the way through to the 9th-minute mark of the fourth quarter. They did not win one stoppage, one clearance, and that's where we gained ascendancy. But that was really the only patch where we got on top in the midfield.
Is it fair to say? Is it fair to say that we're just sort of winning a bit ugly at the moment?
Richmond game wasn't ugly.
A little bit of it was.
It's beautiful.
It wasn't. It was. I mean, it's great. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good thing, but we just don't seem to be. There was games last year where we just you compare it to the Richmond game last year, the first time we played them. Yeah, we just don't seem to be like in total control of games. I know it's only round 3 or 4, but I just feel like we're just going, and but we're doing enough to win, which is great.
And we're doing it under adversary. Like, we're missing a lot of players.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And I'm not being contrary to you, but I'm just saying it's a beautiful thing in terms of, unless everything went our way before, when you could probably say the grand final was like this too. We don't win. Like, we're almost downhill skiers in a lot of ways. Like, we crush them early, and we break them into the way that we want the game to go. But if it doesn't break, then we fail. And
I'm with you. I think it's a good thing. I think we're just showing that it wasn't looking great up to half time on Saturday night, and we just seemed to be able to find a way. And I felt that we had some significant lapses, even though that was a good win against Richmond. We did have a number of lapses, and we just seemed to be able to find a way to sort of scrap our way back into the game and take control. So, yeah, I think there's some good signs there.
Yeah, let's not forget the rhythm of the previous 2 seasons too, where we sort of came out of the blocks really hard and remember a couple of years ago we were unbeatable, at certain parts of the year, and then we kind of limped to the finals the last few games. So, maybe they're just timing their run a little bit. It seems to me, just reading between the lines of what Pike's been saying at press conferences, that we're messing around a bit with the style of play and that sort of thing. Bloody hell, donkey. What are you doing?
What's that, mate?
It's your microphone. Oh, no, that's Pete's microphone.
Sorry.
Fucking, I just get the spray every time now.
Well,
one bag of chips. One bag of chips.
I was making a really good point, and you bastards just couldn't bloody deal with it, and so you had to put stupid static on the line, bastards.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
well,
I don't mind the fact that we're messing around. Shut up.
No, I think that's all. It all goes well, and we just want to. If we can just get, in this early part of the season, just get those wins in the bank. It doesn't matter how they come. And I think that, as Don says, we can play through a bit of adversity, and when things not necessarily going our way, I think that just holds us in good stead later in the year.
Yeah, don't disagree at all.
Another thing too, I thought
Macca.
that
I thought you'd gone to sleep, Macca.
No, I couldn't get in there. You guys were just. I was going to say, the first couple of games we didn't have Lynch, and he is the link man, and I thought he got better as the game went on last week, and I think he's a very important player for us, and now that he's back, I think we'll start to play a little bit more smoothly. He's not the total answer to everything, but he's a very good contributor to the side.
Yeah, you're going to have to watch your mic, Pete, because that's crackling. All right, let's go around the table. Anyone think Collingwood can get up?
Oh, no, I wouldn't go that far, no. I think I would say Adelaide by 48.
I think they're definitely top 8 material, Collingwood, but I think I think we'll I think we'll get over. I think we'll get across them. I don't think it'll be. I don't see it as being massive. Maybe 4 or 5 goals. That's about it.
Donk.
Well, I've already said it. 60 points at least.
Very good. I reckon Collingwood played their grand final last week. They always get up for Carlton games. I don't reckon they're any good. Probably 8 goals Adelaide's way, in my opinion. Let's quickly look at the other games. We've got GWS versus Fremantle at Monaca. GWS a surprising loss last week. They'll probably bounce back, you reckon?
Yeah, I'd go the Giants on this one at Monaca. I think they play that ground pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, GWS for me.
Notice that they've decided to take their location out of their name now. They want to be called just the Giants, not Greater Western Sydney Giants. That's interesting, isn't it?
What?
Yep.
Well,
Why would they do that?
It's a Conor McGregor thing. It's just a bit of a mouthful.
No, I think it's more than that. I think that I have a feeling that they're not getting the penetration that they expected in Western Sydney, and they want to probably spread their wings a bit.
Well, the whole idea was to bed down Western Sydney, and surely they couldn't have thought that was going to happen overnight, and they actually need to be a presence there for some significant period of time.
Yeah, you would
or
think.
they think they've locked it down, so now they're going for bigger.
Yeah, well, they haven't locked it down. They haven't. They got to bloody sell out that stadium a few times before they can.
They're going to take away the whole benefit of the 2-team town and all the rest of it. The rivalry and setting the West apart from Sydney. It seems like a ridiculous idea to me. So early in the at the end of the day, they're still very early.
Is that a proposal or
what do you know about Sydney, Pete? Jesus.
Nothing about it at all, mate.
Macra, I think it's a thing. I don't think it's a proposal. I think they've actually made the request to drop GWS out of the name. Anyway, moving on, we've got Richmond versus Brisbane at the G. Richmond obviously play far better at home. Brisbane were gallant against Port, but do you reckon they can back up 2 weeks in a row away?
No.
Geez, that was annoying that they lost that game.
Yeah.
No, I think Richmond might just sneak over the line on this one.
Yeah.
Donk?
Richmond.
Richmond, yeah, Richmond for me too.
Brisbane Brisbane are going to upset some tipsters along the way.
Yeah, they will.
They'll annoy some people along the way with some good results for them. But I don't think this weekend will be one of them.
Yeah, well, one of my problems was I wasn't really listening to the game announced before Phoenix asked me. I was looking at something else. Brisbane were actually very good against Richmond last year, and they tagged Dusty very hard. And I reckon if Dusty was going to get rubbed out last year, it was about in the Brisbane game. And I can't remember the lad that did it, but he got under his skin, like really got under his skin. He's almost like a tattoo artist. And I reckon I'm going to tip Richmond. But if there was, I'm going to say that Brisbane are a dark horse and knock them off this weekend. They are probably closer than we're giving them credit for.
D. Martin will get 3 Brownlow votes this week. He was shit against Hawthorn. I reckon
he had a shocker.
Worst game he's played for a while, and I don't reckon he plays too many bad ones in a row. So I know what you're saying, Donkey. I remember that game, but I reckon Martin would be looking to bounce back.
That might be, all of that might be true. I just think Brisbane might be under their skin.
Western Bulldogs versus Sydney at Etihad.
I'd still stick with the Swannies.
Yeah, I think
Swannies.
Yeah, it was a good bounce back win against GWS last week, or the Giants, or whoever the hell they are.
Yeah, it was. It was. And look, Western Bulldogs' win was full of merit as well, but I think that Sydney are a far different proposition than Essendon.
We questioned the Western Australian travel with regards to that Western Bulldogs Essendon game, Pete, whether that was a factor, because a couple of weeks in a row teams have been playing on that Optus Stadium and coming back and stinking it up.
I reckon there's some stats around, and that's always been a thing for teams coming back the following week from Perth. I don't think it's
hard ground now.
I don't
too.
think the results are great.
It's a hard ground now too. We were talking about that on Sunday night, weren't we, Macca?
Yeah, tell me about it. It's $14 for a fish burger. That's horrible.
Is that a report? But reports coming out that it isn't a really hard ground? Is that?
Yes, it's like Eddie had.
Yeah.
Were there cuts on the Geelong players? Was that a thing I saw, or was that just made up?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there was cuts.
Two of them did from the LED signs around the ground.
Ah, okay, yeah. Well,
I don't think Sydney play Etihad especially well, but I think that they'll get past the Western Bulldogs.
Doggies are no good. Doggies are bust.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be close actually.
The beverage has been spilled.
Oh, wow! Give it up, Macca. What do you reckon?
I'll go the Dogs.
Dogs. Ooh, okay. West Coast versus Gold Coast, the Battle of the Coast. They should call this a derby, the Coast Derby or something. At Optus Stadium.
West Coast.
Yeah, it'd have to be West Coast.
Gold Coast. I wonder if Gold Coast stayed in Perth.
Yeah, I think they did. I read somewhere that
they should have.
They were doing stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they stayed there.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want to be on the Gold Coast at the moment. Imagine dealing with the fucking traffic.
Oh, yeah, it'd be terrible. But, 2 Perth games in a row, very unusual, so you'd think that they made a trip of it. West Coast for mine.
Yeah, West Coast.
Kangaroos versus Carlton at Blundstone Arena. No one is going to watch that game. They may as well not play it.
Kangaroos will win that comfortably down there.
Yeah, agree.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the Kangaroos. I've not even heard who you say they were playing, but we'll go with the Kangaroos.
Kangaroos could play basketball against the Cavs down at Blundstone and they would still win.
Yeah, I reckon
is it the
right.
Cats, is it? Yes, the Cats.
Carlton.
Cavs.
Pay attention.
Oh, Cavs.
Pay attention, donkey. Or you're sitting down next week.
He's a bit out of control tonight, I think.
Yeah,
it must be that Pinot Grigio.
The Pinot Grigio.
The Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Now, Donkey, you're listening. Essendon versus Port Adelaide at Etihad Stadium.
Oh, the fixture just gets harder and harder for Port, doesn't it?
I reckon Essendon will bounce back on this one.
No, Port will win this comfortably.
Nope. It's my
yeah, I'm going the Bombers. I'm going the Bombers.
I'm going the Bombers. Definitely going the Bombers.
All of a sudden, you're on your own, Pete.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Port actually play Etihad pretty well, and I'll be pretty comfortable they'll get the chockies against Essendon. Essendon are rubbish. How we lost to them in that first round, I'll just never know. Anyway.
Well, because we were tired. We hadn't had a pre-season.
Yeah. Hawthorn, Melbourne at the MCG. The Hawks looked all right last week.
Yeah, that's a real tough one, I reckon.
Yeah, it is. I'll go Melbourne.
I reckon the Blues will get up.
I think I'm going to stick with the Hawks.
I hope the Hawks win it, but I'm thinking Melbourne.
I think the Hawks are going to win. Melbourne haven't actually looked that good. They beat North Melbourne, and North Melbourne aren't very good. Like North Melbourne aren't a good football side.
Took a while to beat them too.
And they took a long time to beat Brisbane, who aren't a great football side either. Like Melbourne think that they're going to be the second coming of Christ, and they're nowhere near it. They're gone. Like I think and Hawks, like they were bad last year. They found a bit of steel this year, and that flog Sicily's back, and he's going to shut them down.
He is a flog.
Yeah, I reckon the Hawks too. Not sold on Melbourne yet. And the last one, graveyard shift Sunday afternoon, Geelong versus St Kilda down at GMHBA Stadium. What the hell is that?
Crikey. Well, you really just couldn't make a case for St Kilda, could you, to beat Geelong down there?
No.
You really can't make a case for St Kilda to beat anybody, really.
No.
But let's just look. Ablett's going to be out this week, so the Dangerwood Blit trio will be 0-2 and not going to have a chance to renew it for a long time. So
Duncan will be back.
Yeah,
he's not part of it.
He's not part of it.
I'll tell you what, it's not a very awe-inspiring round, is it? There's no real standouts there. Maybe Hawthorn, Melbourne, but there's not a lot going on. I might take the weekend off. We might not do the wrap. What do you reckon, Macca? Take the weekend off? Don't do the wrap?
Did you do it last week?
I enjoyed doing the wrap.
You're sitting out next week, Donkey.
I'm in sunny Sydney this weekend, so I might end up just doing a harbour cruise across the weekend. I reckon.
Yeah.
Get me one of those seafood buffet harbour cruises with lots of Pinot Grigio, and
All right.
and take in the sights.
Well, we're starting to lose momentum, so let's pick it up. Let's move on with Game of Crows. I know, Donkey. Unfortunately, I have to watch the time. You don't, so sorry to cut you off. Should have been paying attention. Game of Crows. What happened last week? Bloody Dogs 105 got 3. Josh Kelly got 3. Joel Constable got 3. Not much else. So for those playing, we had Betts got 3. Walker got 2. Betts actually got 3 on the last kick of the night. Walker got 2.
Did Jenkins even get a bloody goal?
Jenkins, I think he got 1, did he? McGovern got 1 point for 2 goals, 1. So it was 3 goals, 1 to Betts, 3 goals to Tex, and 2 goals, 1 to McGovern. I reckon Jenkins might have got 1 goal out of all that. So what do we reckon this week? You know what? I'm going to say... Sure. You'd think I'd have this prepared, wouldn't you? I'm going to go...
Yep.
Shut up. I'm going to go clearances in the first half. Who's going to have the most clearances in the first half for the Adelaide Crows? That includes centre and stoppage clearances. So narrows it down to a small group of players. So
that's an easy one. B. Gibbs.
B. Gibbs.
Easy one.
We'll see. It could be Huey Greenwood. He's not bad at getting clearances. It could be CY. If he's playing well, he can pull a few clearances.
Greenwood play basketball. Do you guys know that?
You're sitting out next week, Magoo. I've had a gutful.
There's definitely going to be a lot of threes this weekend, I reckon.
Yeah, that's all right. We need to get people in amongst it. So make sure that you lodge your vote either on Twitter using the hashtag Game of Crows, or on Big Footy on the CrowCast thread, or on our Facebook page. You've got until just before the bounce on Friday night. Guys, I reckon that's just about...
let me have my section.
What section do you want?
Oh,
You've already got
a donkeys. No, a donkey's fact or fiction. I've got a donkey's fact or fiction.
Oh, here we go.
It's going to be great.
Hurry up.
How many changes from round 3, 2017, in the top 8 were there? How many changes from round 3, 2017, top 8 to the finals? How many people make the finals?
Changes in what?
Well, how many teams were different?
None.
Different to what?
So in round 3, if you were in the top 8, how many changes to the top 8 in round 3 were made by round 23, by the finals?
I'm saying none.
I'll give you a fact first. I'm going to say there was 1 change.
Okay.
Do people think that's fact or fiction? This is a good game.
It's falling a bit flat, mate. Yeah.
I'm going to say fiction.
I'll say fact.
Pete?
Fiction.
It's a fact. So the only change between the 2017 round 3, the only change was Melbourne out and Sydney in. The top 8 were, at the time, Adelaide Crows, Richmond, Geelong, Port Adelaide, GWS Giants, West Coast, Essendon, and Melbourne. So Sydney are the only team that came in, and the only change to the top 4, like in the whole top 4, was GWS went to the top 4, Port Adelaide slipped out, and then there was a little line-up change between Geelong and Richmond. I just thought that was a pretty cool fact and fiction.
That's great.
You said it was going to be good.
Yeah, he lied. He lied. All
Well,
right, don't forget, guys, you can hit us up on Twitter, AFL CrowCast. You can hit us up on Facebook, AFL CrowCast. look at our website at www.afl.crowcast.com, and we'll see you on Sunday for the wrap. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.